Today on CityCast Seattle, we talk with Steve Badanes, the architect behind the iconic Fremont Troll, and we talk with him about the future of public art in Seattle, too. But first, we're going to talk about whether Green Lake should have more lights. Here to discuss, creative producers Sam J. Leeds and Liam Billingham. Sam, are you generally pro or con?
I think if I had to stake out a position, I would say generally con, but with some caveats.
Okay.
Which is probably the most annoying answer I can give. But
caveats is also an incredible pronunciation. That's very fancy. Liam, are you generally pro or con?
With caveats, I'm generally
Wait, how should I be
pro.
pronouncing this?
No, that's beautiful. It's a great enunciation. You're good.
I think I say caveats, but I'm realizing maybe that's uncultured. I should start saying caveats. Anyway, Liam, generally...
Today we debate the pronunciation of caveat.
We're going on a whole side quest now. Okay, but... So, Sam, you're generally con. Liam,
Yes.
You're generally pro.
Correct.
Okay, well, I want to set the scene a little bit. These days, as you all have probably noticed, it gets dark so early, and I don't know if you all have been to Green Lake recently, but even at like 4:45 p.m., it is pitch black there. A petition has popped up advocating for more lights at Green Lake, and it's asking the Seattle Department of Parks and Rec to initiate an environmental impact statement to look into doing that. There's also been a much smaller counter petition saying that streetlights might confuse birds and wildlife. And generally, I think people are becoming more familiar with the idea of dark sky initiatives. You know, we have a lot of light pollution in the city already, and more lights just add to that. And it's generally good for it to remain dark at night. So I guess I'm curious, when you all heard about this, what did you think?
Well, as the most recent Seattleite, the one who moved here most recently, I am completely struck how dark this city is. And I know that that's often the case, but, you know, I drive toward the U District and sometimes ends up going near Green Lake every day. And I'm constantly like, I can't believe it's so pitch black here. Maybe it's that I'm a giant scaredy cat. Even when I'm in my neighborhood, I look out the window and I'm like, it's scary. Like, I feel like it's just... it does feel there are parts of Seattle that feel very bright, but up there it feels really, really dark. And I do think that more light will make people feel as though it's more accessible. And when you're starved for outdoor activities during the very small amount of time we have between sunup and sundown, I could never run there with the limited amount of, at least to what feels to me, the limited amount of light that is available. And so I think extending the times that there is light, making it a little brighter would make it feel more accessible to people who might otherwise not go and access a place like that.
As a person who does run around Green Lake when it is pitch black, I personally really enjoy it, but I also totally hear what you're saying, because I do feel like the majority of other people I see at Green Lake after it's dark are fellow runners who are like, well, I got really no other choice besides running this loop when it's pretty dark. Some people bring their own lights. I actually enjoy like just letting my eyes adjust to the dark. But I do fear sometimes that I sneak up on people.
So I was doing some digging into this because I was like,
Classic.
Yeah, you know me. I can't form an opinion without researching first.
Classic. Whereas I just throw an opinion out.
The curse of being a journalist raised by a very research-based father.
We
but
love facts.
Anyway,
Facts are good.
Facts
Increasingly
are good.
important in our
Turns
time.
out.
It turns out. And I came across this article that was written by a journalist who actually passed away last year, but who was a big environmental journalist in Seattle. Eric, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. Sigliano,
Eric
thank you.
Was a wonderful person.
Yeah, and he wrote this very interesting article for The Atlantic about the link between lighting, like better lighting, and crime, and this sort of embedded understanding that we have as Americans that the way to reduce crime is to more brightly light places. And the fact that that's not actually bared out by studies or science. He writes basically that it's not about how much lighting, it's about the kind of lighting. And you don't need necessarily brighter lighting. You need to think more about like what is the environment that's being created if you are lighting a place. my take on this is that I think you could light part of Green Lake, and I think there could be a way to do it that maybe like mirrors how long the sun is up in the summer, but dims like slowly with the way that the sun would be setting in the summer. But I think like having bright lights around Green Lake, for the majority of the night or for the majority of the time that people would sort of reasonably be out and about actually changes the relationship that we have to like our green spaces and our parks, and also, as is argued in this counter petition, negatively impacts the wildlife that has made that place home. So yeah, I think like interrogating a little bit of our relationship to light is maybe a good one. And then I think also, Jane, like you said, you run around Green Lake, you can wear a headlamp, you can bring light with you. You don't need to like fundamentally alter the environment of a space in order for it to be lit. I will say though, I feel like the Seattle tradition of wearing all black and stepping out into a crosswalk in the middle of winter is one that I am firmly against. The number of times I have nearly hit somebody because I could not see them. I think maybe there's a fine balance that we need to strike here of people wearing reflective things or not wearing all black. I don't know. But
I will say I've been guilty of being that person probably. And I recently got one of those really nerdy reflective light up vests. I feel like a giant Christmas tree walking around, but if it prevents me from either sneaking up on someone or it helps me be more visible so that I am not hit by a car, then it's worth it.
Being a human sad lamp in Seattle in the winter feels very
and also there's
correct.
Nothing like more vulnerable than running in public. You're like, I just feel awful, and like so adding a vest to it just feels like you're just going deeper on the like, do I look dorky? I don't know, who cares?
Oh, I absolutely look dorky.
Definitely, I agree that these lights shouldn't be on all night. Like, that would be crazy, but what do we consider a reasonable time to turn these lights off for people who need access later at night? I see people running at 10 o'clock.
Which
true. Seems crazy, but that's when people can do it. That's when they do it.
Yes, all these young guns whose heart rate does go back to normal before you go to sleep. The person who's put this petition into the world did say that they did not necessarily envision that the lights would be on all night, that would ultimately be decided by the public. But yeah, I do think it's a good question of, well, how long would we want them on? I'm sure there will be a lot of technical discussion about how bright they would be. I'm sure neighbors will have thoughts about what that means for them as well. So I actually reached out to the Seattle Department of Parks and Rec to ask if this has been explored before, because it seems like such a, like, I feel like I hear this a lot of the time in the winter here. And in fact, actually, my parents had gone to the big hot air balloon lighting at Green Lake over the holiday. And my dad was like, the rest of the loop is so dark, like they should put in more lights. So I feel like I've been hearing it even recently. So it didn't really surprise me.
This is how we roll.
Shout out, Dad. Hi, I know you're probably listening.
I'm with you, Jane's dad.
So I think there are lots of people who have been thinking about this for a long time. And I was curious if there has been an environmental impact study that's been done in the past. But according to the Parks and Rec representative I was talking to, they said that there have not been any studies on lighting the loop, and that lighting at parks is tricky because it does have this impact on urban wildlife and neighbors. So any process to add lights to the park will probably take some time and a lot of community engagement. And there are no current plans to light the inner loop. I mean, I guess what I would be curious to see in coming weeks is how much traction this really gains. You know, a petition is a good start if you were trying to gain some public support for an idea. I don't actually know what the threshold is to actually get the attention of our city. But it seems like this is a perennial conversation. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. In the meantime, I think I will, just be at Green Lake when it's dark at 5 p.m. and just wait for the light to come back and hope that continuing to be there at 5 p.m. eventually it will be light there and this moment will pass. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk with Steve Badanes, the architect behind the Fremont Troll.
We're going to say goodbye to Liam and invite Steve in.
Bye.
Bye, Liam.
Bye, Liam.
Steve Badanes, the architect who designed and built the legendary Fremont Troll, is now in his 80s and he recently retired. Through the Neighborhood Design Build Studio, an award-winning studio offered by the UW Department of Architecture, he helps students work with communities around Seattle, creating more than 50 projects for nonprofits, from outdoor classrooms to pathways in children's gardens. And Steve is willing to chat with us from his home on Whidbey Island so we can find out everything we've ever wanted to know about the troll. Well, Steve, as a first-time guest on CityCast Seattle, I wanted to ask you our customary first-timer question, which is, what is your Seattle soapbox? Like, what do you always want to get on a soapbox about related to the Seattle area?
Well, the Troll was built 35 years ago, I believe, and in 1990. This was a different town then, and I think I have made my exit and left it to the younger folks to decide its future. The Troll was a statement to be kind of cautious with development. Obviously, he's making an anti-development statement. There was, at the time, Fremont was much funkier, much cheaper. Many artists and boat builders and woodworkers lived down by the waterfront, and the plan was that Adobe was going to clean all that stuff out and build a new headquarters, which of course they did. And the Troll, which was the result of a competition, was supposed to make that statement. Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for.
It's inevitable that things change, and I think Seattle's still a pretty fabulous city. It's just a different kind of city. It's much more, it's been like Revenge of the Nerds. You get, it used to be fishermen and woodworkers and lumberjacks and all this kind of stuff, and now it's computer tech bros.
It's also, speaking of nerds, creative producer Sam J. Leeds is here. Sorry to throw you under the bus like that, under the VW bug like that. Sam, have
Proud
you touched
nerd.
the troll?
I have touched the troll many times. Yeah. When people come to visit, they all want to go see the troll. And yeah, I don't know. It's very cool to have Steve here today because the troll is just iconic to Seattle.
I know. When I first moved to Seattle in 2014, I lived in Fremont, and I actually did not know about the troll. I just happened to walk by it. And
Wow.
I was like, what is this amazing piece of art under the bridge? So it's a real pleasure to have you on the show, Steve. Okay, so you had mentioned that there was a contest and that is part of the troll's story. So tell us a little bit about how the troll came to be. It's 1989 was when you all started plans for this?
I think the whole thing was done in 1990. I think the
Okay,
competition may have been in the spring of 1990 that we won. The Fremont Arts Council, which is a local, scrappy local arts organization at the time, and I guess still is, got a neighborhood matching funds grant from the Department of Neighborhoods, which had started in 1989. So it was one of the very first matching fund grants. A guy named Jim Deere started the Department of Neighborhoods and developed these grants where communities could decide what they wanted in their communities rather than reacting to what government gave them. And so the Arts Council proposed something under the bridge. They proposed a competition, worldwide competition, to decide who the artist was and what would be built. And it was the only one that I know of where public art was voted on by the public. And that was part of their grant. I think it made them nervous at Department of Neighborhoods. Certainly the mayor at the time was pretty nervous when he found out the troll won. There was a jury of local artists and activists. They picked 3 winners, and the 3 winners got $500 each and got to go into the public vote. So that's how it was structured. And it was not an anonymous competition. And there was someone on the jury who had been at the UW Architecture School, and she knew my work and said, this will be well built because I had this long career as a designer builder before I came to teach with the Jersey Devil.
She was like, Steve's got chops. Like, we're gonna.
I think that's the only reason we made the cut, and we did not make the final 3. And they called and said,
Oh,
you didn't make the final 3. but you can go ahead and enter the public competition if you want to do it without getting $500. And we said, okay, yeah, we can do this. And I drove over to the site and I took one look at it. Imagine 1989, 1990, what it looked like under most every bridge in Seattle, the normal kind of detritus, the mattresses, beer cans, crack pipes, that kind of stuff. You know, I took a look and I guess that old story of the troll under the bridge and the billy goat's gruff is sort of lodged into your brain from when you were a kid. And I just said, yeah, troll. But I had no idea what we would build. And I went back to school where I was teaching, and I recruited a couple of students, Will Martin and Ross Whitehead. And we sent my girlfriend at the time, Donna Walter, over to the library, UW library, to get us some images of trolls. That's how the one we had a one eye, and that's how he only has one eye. And then the idea somehow emerged as we were talking about it to kind of submerge the troll, which made for a lot easier amount of detail. All you're talking about is fingers and a nose. And the nose on the model we copied right off mine.
I was going to ask you if that was true. I had seen rumors that that was the case.
That was the case. The
love that.
lower lip is Ross's and the nose is mine. And so we made the model, they're architecture students, and made a fabulous model of the under the bridge and used drywall compound, and wherever we didn't know about troll anatomy, we just slugged on a little bit more hair. And it's actually a pretty great model. It's at Moai now.
How long did it take to build?
But the competition was during the summer, and we started, September, October, mostly digging and doing rebar and stuff like that too. And we finished it in December. It was pretty fast. It was a couple of months. Wasn't enough time to raise money.
Right. So how much was this grant for? And did that actually help pay for all the materials?
The grant, in theory, was $40,000, $20,000 from the city and $20,000 matching, which means that's not money.
I see.
That means that the whole idea of the neighborhood's matching funds grants are the city puts up money and the community matches it with in-kind donations, meaning labor, materials,
I see.
lunches. And
Your labor,
Yeah.
specifically.
well, we had to keep track of everything, and we had to work on weekends so that all volunteers from the Arts Council could work too. But there was, it's one of those things that kind of caught fire on the news. When things are bad at the end of a news cycle, you need some good news. And right from the beginning, the troll was pretty popular. So basically, we had $20,000. But there's very few materials in the troll. The original scheme that we had, it was going to be built out of wood, that's what we know how to build, and covered with bark. You know that guy who builds trolls around the Northwest, Thomas Danko? Yeah, he does them that way, and his are temporary. And so this one, the troll wouldn't have lasted this long if he was built out of wood. Somebody would have torched it.
The troll is turning 36 this year, and I know, he's made of concrete, so
yeah, he's hollow though.
He's keeping up okay. He's hollow. Okay, interesting.
I had some experience with ferro cement, which is the thin shell cement that they use to build boats. To get started, we got the woman who works at the Woodland Park Zoo and does the rocks there to come over and show us how to do it. And the car was donated by Black Duck Motors. It had been in a front-end collision, and it didn't have the motor had been sold, so they just gave it to us. Ross and Will went over and towed it over with a rope.
Amazing.
A lot of the stuff we did,
I was like, it looks too
now.
real to not be a real car.
It's a real Volkswagen.
So why does it have a California license plate, though?
It doesn't. We just said it should.
Oh.
It does have a time capsule
not-
inside of it, though. And Kurt Cobain's ashes are in there.
Wait, I can't tell if you're messing with me or not.
Kurt Cobain's ashes are not in there.
Okay. Breaking news, everyone. No, what is in there, though?
Sandy Smith's ashes are in the glove compartment. She died during the construction. She was a friend and was a supporter. And stuff that was donated by kids, drawings of the future of Seattle. There was a bust of Elvis Presley. It's beautiful, plaster bust. But someone broke in there and stole that one. But then since then, the troll has kind of
No.
been filled up first with sand because no one was around to wield. That's the only thing you knew what to do with it. But since then, it would put, I think there's concrete inside there. I mean, there's been so much vandalism on it. I think even the tires are stuffed with concrete now.
Well, so the troll has been around for 36 years this year. Is the city keeping up with repairs? I mean, who is in charge of doing that? And I guess I'm also curious what you think about the changes that the city has made to the area around the troll. Like, I know they put in stairs a couple of years
yes,
ago.
it's
There's
good.
like a pea patch and park, you know.
It has to do with how we got permission to build it. Normally, public art goes through, it used to be the Seattle Arts Commission and the King County Arts Commission. They both have other names now, for culture and the mayor's office on this and that, so and so. But this was done through Department of Neighborhoods, so there's nobody who would take care of it unless it was the Fremont Arts Council. And we didn't need a building permit, which of course now you probably would, and you probably put a railing on his head so people wouldn't fall off it. But
Right, yeah.
Seattle Department of Transportation owns the land, and
But I guess that makes sense being under the bridge,
yep,
yeah.
and they're the guys who did all the recent repairs and supposed to take care of it, but not too much. But what they said was, Fremont Arts Council will own the sculpture and do the maintenance. We'll own the land and do the maintenance on the land. The artists own the copyright. That's the only thing we own. So it's a pretty good deal for us that way.
So wait, tell me more about this copyright. Are you all making royalties off of it? Are you like
Oh man, I'm
leasing
retired
the
on
troll's
Whidbey
image
Island
for
where you're
things?
talking to me now.
Is that
Clearly
from the
rolling
troll?
that troll money?
Perhaps you're aware of the Fremont Troll Chia Pet.
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Fremont Troll Chia Pet sold 22,000, and the artists, I believe, got I don't know, 80 cents a piece, something. I don't know. We made
Nice.
made
Okay.
thousands
That's not
on
nothing.
that, but that's the only one. But
Yeah.
it is often used when somebody wants to shoot B-roll footage, or somebody wants to make an ad, or a troll wants to use the troll in the movies. The city usually gives them my information, and we negotiate some form of a deal. We don't usually do advertisements.
Yeah, it interferes with his brand.
In other words, if it sounds like fun, we say, okay, yes, what do you got? Because,
Yeah.
and there's 4 artists, and whatever little fees we get divided 4 ways.
Right.
Like I said, I'm retired,
Well,
but
that's
not
fun.
from that. But it's important to keep the copyright because then you can control the image.
I know it was definitely in 10 Things I Hate About You because I have seen that recently.
I don't believe those guys paid.
Oh, no.
You heard it here first, folks.
Drama. The city has changed a lot in the last 30 years. And I think you had mentioned this earlier that the troll might not get made again today. Do you think the troll would get made again today?
I think it would be much harder. The city has done. The one who made the improvements was Seattle Department of Transportation, and they really threw some serious money at it. I mean, the troll cost 20 grand. The repairs were like 7,500, that kind of stuff. And the stairs, I think, are good. They make it accessible for a lot of people. And the Arts Council does their
Yes,
best
yes.
to repair it. I think that if you look at pictures of the troll from 36 years ago, he's a lot thinner in the face. There's so many layers of kind of bad cement patching that's been put on there that he's a lot chubbier. He's still there and he's still
Well,
popular, though.
Yeah.
He's thriving under there, it sounds like, if he's
Yes.
growing, you know?
I'm also curious to hear what you think the role of public art is in our city. And if you think that tradition is still alive and well in Seattle. I think you probably have your finger on the pulse a little bit still, even if you're on Whidbey. Like, do you feel like the public art scene here is still a healthy one?
Oh, I hope so. Because it's important. I think if you have to go to a museum to see art, a lot of people who could be affected by it are eliminated from the experience. That's the role of public art. And what's happened is, I think, and even then it was sort of in there, what mostly is a concern from the people who administrate it. First of all, you can't just hire an artist. They're too wild and too hard to deal with. So you need an organization that picks the artist. So right away, something like the Troll can't really happen. There is a competition, but it's not open. What's happened is people are invited and they make a presentations to arts administrators and other people, and then they're picked, and sometimes they even do a proposal. And what the artist is concerned about is the statement and the quality and all this stuff. And what the city is concerned about is the safety, the maintenance, and the cost of doing it. So a lot of the work is a lot safer, which is good, but it's also kind of maybe a little toothless. The Troll is one of the reasons it's so popular is it's pretty raw. And
Yes.
a lot of public art is much more polished than that.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up this interesting tension between what you would hope an artist has in mind when they are creating something that will be seen by the public, like something that has a point of view, something that makes a statement, something that is interesting or beautiful to look at. And then, of course, the city or the commissioner of this art, the people who hold the purse strings, are thinking about, the safety and probably also like the palatability of the art that's being made. I guess I'm curious what you think about the tension between creating art that has this point of view and folks who hold the purse strings having these different interests. Like, how does one navigate that? Or was there any pushback when you all were making the Troll about that?
Yeah, there was pushback that these guys are not artists and they're taking work away from artists. And, the art critic at the time for the Seattle PI wrote that, it's going to be kitsch and it's terrible. This is why you have real authorities select public art. And then after we built it, she took another look and she said, "Time to eat Troll." You can read it, look it up in the PI. And she apologized. She said it was actually pretty good as far as trolls go and kind of droll. But it's still not highly esteemed by the art community, the real art community, because it's not intellectual at all. Too. Those other ones that you say are popular too, those Thomas Dambo trolls, those. I don't know why he does so many of them. I figure I got it out of my system after one, and ours is built out of concrete and it's meant to last. But those projects that he does, they're a little cute, but they also are fabulous community projects. A lot of people come together and work on them, and he uses a lot of recycled materials.
You already did your Troll.
That's right, and we were there first. And ours will last a long time.
Well, Steve, I know you've previously said that people often associate you with the Troll. You're often remembered for the Troll. But now that you are retired, what other contribution to the city would you like people to associate with you?
That's the one that my obituary is going to talk about, I suppose. But I'm proud of all the community projects. I'm glad that I was able to take that and use it as a springboard to say, well, students can build great stuff out in the community. We should give them opportunities to do it. I'm going to start this class, and you can give me health insurance, and we'll and the rest is 30 some odd years later, we're doing it. I mean, I had been, before I came to Seattle and started teaching and won that competition, I had spent 25 years living on job sites, traveling in a little trailer with a group of classmates from architecture school, designing and building custom houses for some people with real serious means and some people with sort of working people. But it was a long career. If you look up Jersey Devil design build, you can see some. They were the most.
Yes.
They made a name in the architecture world for probably being kind of fringe. But we were some of the early solar and earth sheltered buildings we did. We were part of that movement in the 60s and 70s that were interested in environmental issues in architecture, which when I was in school, it was not the case. When I was in school, it's, the profession was even more white bread and conservative than it is now. And so in the 60s, you want to be rebellious when you were in school. So we had a community design center in school, and we built inflatable buildings for festivals. And then we got these trailers, and we figured architect doesn't just have to draw the building, you can build it too. So we lived on site in these trailers right there and built all the structures. You don't get much work done that way, but it was a lot of good work, and it lasted 25 years until I was too kind of creaky to go up the ladder. And then I figured, well, You can get health insurance if you get a job. So if you can't do it, you can teach.
There you
so
go.
I got a teaching job. And the teaching job was a really good move on my part, I think. It was really rewarding to work with young people who are still optimistic enough to think that the world can be made better by their efforts. It kept me for many years from becoming too cynical, doing that kind of stuff. So.
I want to still believe that. I think I do still believe
They
that.
do.
On
That's
some
what I mean.
level. And I love that the troll came out of it.
Well, this is what we get. You know, they have the neighborhood design build studio. Every spring there'll be something.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing what else comes out of the design build studio. That seems like a really wonderful legacy to leave behind in your retirement. Well, let's leave it there for now. Thanks so much for joining us, Steve.